Boom, guys, we're back. Listen, I'm going to talk about a mindset switch. The mindset switch I use to push myself to go to insane distances when running, when doing whatever activity, right? Just when the going gets tough, that's when the tough gets going, all right? I'm going to teach you exactly how I do it. This is just one of the many methods I use. And it's one of the methods that I told my friend Sydney about, who I mentioned in the last video. We were out running and I told him about this exact process for conquering the bad thoughts that goes through your mind once you're in this shit, okay? And it's something I've talked about before, but I couldn't find the video. I was going to show this video to him, and I had all these great ideas, right? Just as I always do with all my great videos. So I wanted to talk about this point again because it's super important, and it's something that a lot of you guys, if you start applying this, you're going to see some absolutely insane results. I swear to God, it takes a bit of time though, but once you start doing it, like, there's no limitations to what you can achieve. I swear to God. All right, so I'll start off by saying this. You know, in the military, we have something called trigger words, essentially. So the way you say a certain word and a certain phrase, it has a certain meaning, right? So in the military, you kind of make up your own language. There's certain language and lingo that goes into like a unit or like a group of people, and they all understand each other. Words like you have all this radio chatter. That's first and foremost, right? So that's something I even use right now in my daily life. I say copy to people, like copy. I actually stopped kind of using that though, because people didn't understand, right? What the fuck, do I copy it? No, that just means I, understood what you said, right? So I just go around and say Roger that instead. Roger that, okay, right? Simple stuff. It's just muscle memory, right? But it keeps me on track. It's like, hey, okay, I understood it. Okay, I'm gonna attack just like that. Boom. And now for like trigger words, just like that. When we were on the line, we were doing live fire drills and shooting on the line, and then you want to stop the exercise. The instructor want to stop the exercise. Everyone got to stop shooting. It's they'll say something like, instead of just saying stop, right? Because you want to put some. They want to put some way for people to understand it, because you don't hear a stop when you're shooting a gun, right? So the way they say it is like stop, right? Just like that. They say it that way, and everyone understands that the way that it's said. That means that there's an action associated with the way that is said, with what is said, right? And so everyone stops firing, everyone stops doing the shit, right? And there's no grenades being thrown, no nothing, right? That's the end of the firing, all right? So the way I found to apply this to like any challenge in my life is when the going gets tough, right? You have these trigger words. You make these trigger words for yourself. What does this mean? I'll give you an example. I have certain words, I have certain phrases that I use in certain contexts, blah, blah. I'm having a stroke here. Somebody get the stroke medication out. Listen, when I'm having certain words for certain contexts that I can use, so once the thoughts come up in here, I just whoosh them away. I can reignite that fire and I can keep going, even at a higher pace. So let's say I'm running like a half marathon. I'm going to a marathon. Maybe I'm starting to, feel a bit tired in my legs, right? Oops. Never said the word tired. I mean, that's 10 push-ups, right? We used the word tired. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops. Just like that. We're not using that word. Stop using that word anymore. All right. Listen, when we start feeling it, I have certain words that can really alleviate all that pain and even allow me to push further at a better pace even. Something happens. Like words have power to them if you make them have power, okay? It doesn't have to have power associated with them. But if you make them have power, you can do some crazy stuff with words, all right? And a lot of people, they take this the wrong way, and they associate all the words in the universe with that it has power, right? And so they get offended by everything because they say they're giving all this power to all these words, right? In reality, you can pick and choose, and that's what's so beautiful about this. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to choose exactly what we want with the phrase, with the word, and we're going to get the exact outcome that we want. So, I'll tell you this. One of the phrases I use, this is a trigger word I use, essentially. I use this in some contexts, not all the time. And what I don't do is I don't use it anywhere else. I don't use it anywhere else. It's not something I'm going to throw around, okay? Because if you're going to associate a word with some, if you're going to give some word some power, then it can't be used anywhere, okay? Then it loses its power, right? It needs to be, it needs to have a certain, what should I call it? There needs to be a certain supply and demand of it, I guess you could say, in a way that, hey, this is not something that's thrown around easily, right? So that's where you get the power from it. This is just something we're going to use in this exact scenario, and it's going to give us this result. So what I say, right, sometimes when I go and get stuff, I say, thank you, God, for letting me live. I say that. And it's not because just because, I believe in God. It's not that. It's because I saw this video long time ago, this motivational video with Tom Platz, right, the quad father himself, the king of building big legs in bodybuilding. Maybe you heard of him, maybe don't. If you have heard of him, by the way, go check out his stuff. Just search up his name, Tom Platz. And that's with a Z on the end. And his training mentality is something I wanted to replicate. And so I was always very fond of it. I became very fond of his way of training from very early age when I started training. And so in one video I saw, he said that, thank you, God, for letting me live. He uses that as power. And so that just stuck with me. For some reason, that phrase stuck with me. And it doesn't have to be anything more than that. It doesn't have to be anything more than just something that sticks with you. And so I've used that over my last decade of training. A decade, we're talking 10 years here. I've used that in certain scenarios where I'm like, thank you, God, for letting me live. Just like that, all right? So like when it gets tough, it's kind of like, I don't know if I talked about this before, but when shit really hits the fan, and you're like, damn, this is difficult, and you want to quit and whatnot. There's this thing that David Goggins talked about, which is so true, and it's derived from military terms again, taking a knee. Essentially just, okay, well, now we have an option. Do we continue or not, right? Or do we take a bird's eye view at least and look at the situation, look at the options, right? That's what David Goggins talked, taking a knee, and it allows you to step out of an emotional state and just look at the fact. Okay, your toe is hurting. So what? Who cares, right? Pain is not just something that's physical, it's an emotional thing. So we need to step out of that, realize exactly what's going on. It's like, is this something we can continue with? Yes, of course it is, right? It's just a fucking toe. But what this, with this trigger words and everything, right? Hold on, let me focus this thing. All right. With these trigger words, just when you have that power associated with that, something happens here. When, there's a physical effect when you start saying this stuff, and it has actual power, and you start noticing it. You start noticing it. And it's not like now that's super powerful. That term, using that term, I'm not going to repeat it that much because it has a certain power, right? And I choose to associate that power. I can make that power, right? Just like I'm now. I'm not spinning this around just like that. I'm saying this term instead of the actual phrase itself because I'm putting such an importance on this phrase. So once I use that, that's goal time. That's goal time, right? I know that, and my body knows that because I train it. The way you think in here, it manifests itself in the body. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows this. If you don't know this already, let me give you another example of this. Fear manifest. That's, everyone should know this because fear, that's not something that your body can't see fear. You see an ugly creature out in the forest, the body can't see that. It's just your eyes. What's behind your eyes? Your mind, right? And your mind picks it up. And that makes your heart go faster. That makes you sweat. That makes you afraid. And that has physical effects. So the mind has an effect on the body. It's not two things. It's a whole thing. The whole thing. And that's something that we can tap into. And we do that with these trigger words like this. Now, what I will say for you is, because this is something I talked about with my friend, right? Because we're at this restaurant. It was like, yeah, what phrases do I actually use, right? And like I said, I picked this phrase up that I use. I picked it up from a random video. I think it was a motivational video. And it's like, damn, I really like that phrase. So that's just something that stuck in my head, and I used that. Now for you, right? Pick something that's short, but that's not very commonly used. Don't do like, let's go, right? What the fuck, honestly? Are you a cheerleader squad? Is that what you are? No, you're not, okay? You're a savage on your mission. And so you can't pick these, common phrases that are thrown around every day, right? Just like I said with my phrase, right? It has importance. Now I have multiple phrases. I have multiple things I can go back to, and that creates a different effect in my body. It creates a different effect in my mind, so I can think about different stuff, get past the hurdle and keep going. So don't use this keep going, one more, like all this, right? You choose for yourself, but it needs to be a certain importance of that. And if it's used too much, you lose that importance. Pick something that's just, the same length as my phrase, the phrase I used. Pick something like that. That's a good length of it, because it wants to be something that you... something that you can basically just talk to yourself with. Not too short, not too long. It can be like one line of a poem, for example, something that resonates with you. But so it doesn't really matter what it is. What I will say though, try to avoid the word pain in it. That could be something, because you want to alleviate pain, right? So why would we, think about something that has to do with pain? Of course, pain is implicit in all the phrases we're using here. We're trying to alleviate that pain, but we don't want to focus on that, right? And so, but that is I can get back to that in another video, but that is a method too, focusing on the pain, like really, really focusing on pain. That can actually be a really good tool to get past the pain, believe it or not. But, so try and avoid the word pain and try to keep it like this long. Now, what I will also say, hold on, let me catch my thoughts here. They're trying to run away from me. Boom, boom, bing, 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 bing. It's like the machine, with the Morse code. It's like that in my mind, right? And I just bing, 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 and then all these thoughts come through. These genius thoughts come through. It's like sending it from another dimension. I swear to God. But this stuff, it takes a bit of time, okay? Because there's not like you can do it like one time. And it will have an effect, of course. It will, if it has enough power to you, this phrase that you choose to use. Now, but the thing is that over time, it will get stronger, and it will get stronger. And if you use it like me for almost a decade, I can punch through a brick wall just by saying this phrase, right? It's that powerful. I swear to God, it's that powerful. No, so just know that it'll take some time, but you need to identify, okay, right now, what is it? And it can change over time, but it takes repetitions, right? Being in that when you're in the Hurt Locker, it takes repetitions using that and being like, boom, let's blast. And it's very important that once you decide to use the phrase, right, it has to have an effect. It has to have an action. It's not like, okay, you say it and then you quit. No. Missing the point completely. Now you're just separate. Now you're actually decaying, because now you're associating the word with quitting. Right? Subconsciously, you now have said to the mind, we say this phrase, we're quitting, okay? Which is not acceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. So, and it's not like, okay, let's say you're doing a 10K run, you start feeling it at, or you want to do a 12K run, 12 kilometers, and you start feeling it at 10, but it's like absolutely unbearable. Okay, what do you do, right? What do you do? I'm saying this phrase, Nico, it doesn't work, okay? Listen, keep going, say the phrase, keep going, and then negotiate with yourself. Okay, let's go to 11. Chances are you're going to go to 12, but hey, let's go to 11, because you don't want to be like, say the phrase and quit, right? So we want to keep going to at least another milestone. Give us that extra fire, that fire and ability to keep going, right? Super important. So we're subconsciously training our mind to keep going with these phrases instead of decaying. Because that's super important. Big point there. So, but this is something that we use a lot in the military. As I said, there's different stuff. Because, okay, you say a phrase, right? When you're doing CQB, when you're clearing a room, clearing a big building, right? You enter, come across a hallway. Now, the word that goes back in the stack is just, if you're doing deliberate CQB, like stealthy CQB, there's difference. There's dynamic and this is deliberate CQB. So dynamic is hostage rescue. Deliberate is just sneaky, Bravo 6 and all that, Call of Duty, whatever. So when you're doing that deliberate, I mean, even if you're doing dynamic too. But doing the deliberate is like hallway. You just say it calmly back in the stack. But what happens, right? It's not that everyone knows that's a hallway, but also everyone knows what happens next. And that's what we're looking for. That's the effect we're looking to create in our bodies, right? Think of yourself as a unit, okay? And you have to lead that unit. You have to talk to that unit. And that's how we build it. Just like we're doing with a squad doing CQB. This is a fucking squad. Like, listen, I'm a physical one-man army, and you can be too, I swear to God. But you have to think of yourself as a unit. And so you talk to it, do all this self-talk, right? We have all these methods of making this strong, making the unit strong, the whole body, the whole mind, everything. So self-talk and stuff like this, the words you say, just like hallway, everyone knows, understands what's going on. You say this phrase, beep, bop, 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 and you know that's the time to keep going. That's the time to hammer on the pace and not quit, all right? So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's a big one, super important point. Take care, zoom, 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 and God bless. Boom!